Welcome to Fire Engineering's Training Minutes. I'm Mark Gregory, along with Russ Keller and Jimmy Payne. Today we're going to discuss a child stuck in a swing. All across the United States, fire departments end up responding to calls for a morbidly obese child that may be stuck in a baby swing. We've also had adults, late night partying, going out, fooling around and getting stuck in these swings. And as responders, we get called in to extricate them from the swing. Jimmy's going to show you a lot of the swings that are out there today could be these vulcanized rubber swings. A lot of times in the swings, they'll actually have a metal band that's in there that could pose a little bit of a problem as far as cutting through. This swing here is completely made out of rubber. It's pretty easy to cut as far as using our tin snips, or we'll show you the piano wire, how quickly it can cut through here. And then you have the hardened case plastic. Different tools that we have for that, we'll show you through the demonstration. So we come along to our victim on the scene here. What they first want to do is we want to see if we can take pressure off the victim, try to relieve the pressure that they've created in their legs since they've been caught in this situation until our arrival. Out in the field, you may have to use bolt cutters to cut the chains, bring the victim down. But by simply relieving the pressure, there you go. Simply relieving the pressure on the legs may be enough just to get the victim out of this swing. At this point in time, they're still unable to get the victim out. Using a lubricant, small bottle of soap that we keep in our man and machine kit, we can rub it around the victim's legs and see if we can possibly get the victim to become free. All right. Jimmy's applying a lubricant. He's going to try to rub it in. Another thing you want to think about at a call like this is psychological first aid. Remember that the person, whether it's a child or it's an adult that's in the swing, is going to be embarrassed. You're going to have a crowd forming around. So if you can, try to protect your victim. Have the rescues perform a barrier. Maybe have the police department do crowd control. So right now, we can see that our lubricant is not working. We're going to try using our piano string to see if that works. Jimmy will slide it in. And just a simple shimmying motion back and forth will cut through. It's a slow process, but it works quite well. As you can see, in less than a minute, Jimmy's making pretty significant progress. We would perform this on the one side and then move over to the other side so that we could flap the top piece completely off. Keep in mind also, by using the piano wire, we have to worry about any heat that it might create. So we may need to provide a buffer for our victim or provide some cooling using the bottled water that we have or some other form of irrigant. So we've got one side cut here. On the other side, we're going to have Russ use the tin snips. As you can see, one problem with the tin snips is getting the purchase point in order to make the proper cuts. Once Russ is in, he can cut right down. As Russ is working his cutter in there, Jimmy's applying some pressure just to make the room so he's able to get his cutters in there. There you go. So in less than 5 minutes, you can have this victim extricated out of the swing with no injury at all to the victim itself. Sometimes with these swings, you have a metal band that's encased on the inside portion of the swing. The tin snips will work, but if you do run into difficulty, you may want to pull out the whizzer saw, or we've used the right angle grinder before. Remember that we have to think about protecting our patient. Russ has behind him the cervical collar, and we could show you Using the cervical collar, because of its flexibility, we can use it as a shim between the victim's body and where the member is going to provide the cuts. Whichever piece you can get in there, right? Russ is using a narrow end here, right? That'll provide our buffer. And again, we want to make sure Jimmy's using a piece of car mat that we made up. Again, anything that's going to provide a buffer to keep our victim protected. Remember that we don't need to cut completely through. If we score enough that we make a nice purchase point, we may be able to finish the job using the tin snips. In this scenario here, we already have the victim down on the ground. Russ is going to use the piano wire now to cut the bottom piece and free our victim. In the swing here, we just noticed that there is a band of metal that runs from the front to the back. So the piano wire is not going to work too well here. We were able to make a nice purchase point. Jimmy's now going to finish the cut using the tin snips. There he's gaining a little bit of a purchase point. Explain to your victim also what you're doing. Remember, they're going to be nervous, they're going to be scared, all right? Psychologically, we want to keep them nice and calm. As you can see, that band is it's a tough piece of metal in there, encased in the plastic, so it's going to take a little bit of time using the tin snips. Here's a close-up if you want to see the band. So if we run into difficulty with cutting this metal band, our last resort that we have is using some type of pneumatic or battery-operated tool. Here, Russ has the whizzer saw. Jimmy is using a hacksaw blade in order to provide protection for our victim. We're going to end up cutting right across here, nice controlled cut. We can use water to cool this as we're cutting. Remember that because of this plastic, you're going to get gumming around the blade. So you want to try to make a nice smooth cut, try to clear that plastic that's melted out of the way. We'll cut through this band. Again, we've got the protection that Jimmy's providing here with the hacksaw blade, and we should be able to flap this piece and now remove our victim from the swing. Unusual rescues like this occur all across the United States. You need to be proficient in these type of operations when you do get that call. Thank you for watching Fire Engineering's Training Minutes. I'm Mark Gregory, along with Russ Keller and Jimmy Payne.